Hello and welcome back to Holding This Space. Now, I'm very honoured and very pleased to be joined this evening by John Murray. Hello, John. How are you?
Good to see you. Always good to see you. And tonight, particularly on live radio, what can I say?
Well, what can I say? I learned from the best.
Oh,
I learned from the best because I'm sitting here because you helped me to sit here.
well, I appreciate that. And I think you cannot hear enough radio. If you're interested in radio and do presentation work on any station, I listen to radio all day and most of the night as well. And I think, you learn, you pick up things, oh, I wouldn't have done that, or, oh, that was a good practice, I'll do that, which all helps.
And I think when you listen to someone's voice, you really do pick up what they're trying to say. There's something very intimate about someone's voice. Very
true. And I think it's important that you have studio guests as well. You don't always get that, whether it's body language or intonation or all this kind of stuff, when it's a phone interview. But when you meet somebody, and I know you've done records as well, when you meet and for a lot of your podcasts and for your business bites, it helps when you get eye contact and could judge things. I mean, is that just me, or do you find that as well?
No, absolutely. And I think because I'm a trainee counsellor, you really pick up on someone's body language if they're like, no, I don't want to talk about that, or change the subject, please, or... but I remember when I first started, and at the time I was still writing my books, and you would say, come up for a chat, and it would be, I would think it was just a chat, and you'd be like, oh, just have a seat there, and we'll just have a chat about this. Have you seen?
And there it was, you're on live radio.
Yes, you're on live radio. So now, John, you are a massively busy man.
Yeah.
Absolutely busy man. I'm just curious, what's it like for you to sit on the other end of the microphone? Because it's usually the other way for you.
Well, that's very true. And as you know, I have my own show on K107, but I'm no stranger to sitting like this because, whether it's at Kingdom FM or before I was doing a speech show on 4th, they had somebody who did all the twiddles and knobs, and they were in a glass panel somewhere else, and they point at you or talk to you when you're talking. How freaky is that? When you're trying to say something and coming up next, and then you hear a voice saying, no, don't say that, and you think, okay, and then and somebody says, what did you say okay for? I said, sorry, I was talking to him. And you have to get used to all that. And I think sports journalists are really good at that because they're listening to a feed saying 10 seconds, 5, you're on, and then they're talking, and then they're ready to go. And I mean, it must be quite a skill, but it's fun as well. I mean, you and I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for live radio, because I must admit, when I come in here on a Tuesday night, I think you're very, very much in the moment.
Yeah.
You're not thinking too much about what's going to be happening in 20 minutes or 10 minutes. It's like, I need to deal with right now.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with that. And you will find as well that somebody, you said, well, I've got you in and it'll just be 10 minutes. How long have you got me in? 10 minutes, right, okay. And you just get going, and then you think, goodness gracious, it's into half an hour, and it's so easy, and it's maybe just rapport, And
I think when you're chatting to someone, and like you say, it's that eye contact.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most important things for me is making sure that the guest feels comfortable, and making sure they know exactly where they're coming, what time it is, kind of areas of discussion.
Yeah. Well, your hospitality was great. I mean, that coffee latte you made me was fantastic. And how did you know I like double biscuit, Empire biscuit? I mean, that all adds to the ambience, and we're all chilled out, and, you had cigars waiting for me when I came in, and it's great.
You've not spoken about the Joe Malone candle that was sitting there.
Yeah, all lit. Yeah, that's true. I like the dimness of the studio. That helps. Yeah. It's just that ambience, and just that kind of wee wispy, kind of lovely smells that comes, and you think, oh, I'm chilled. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, because we did get your rider through and thought,
yeah,
it was, but I hope we've got the exact room temperature that you were looking
for. I mean, usually I just ask for peanuts.
So, in terms of everything that you do, John, writer, broadcast, DJ, all the rest of it, is there a favourite bit for you?
It's hard to say because it's what happens at the moment. You know, when you're focused on something, whether you're doing a live event to an audience that's in front of you and you've got a microphone in hand, then that's the most important thing that happens. But I think what the biggest kicks I get is the theatre shows. As you know, Kingdom Theatre Company, I write shows, and there's nothing better than to hear people laugh at a joke you wrote maybe in the middle of the night or on a bus somewhere going to Edinburgh, and you just think, oh, I wonder if that works, and you jot it down in hand and then you give it to a actor and they deliver it properly and the audience love it. And we've seen, you know, people in tears at laughter, and sometimes, you know, it's an original joke, others it's maybe adapted or whatever, but I think that is one of the biggest kicks and thrills of all time.
What was Kelty Clippie like for you? Because that is very much a labour of love.
It's been a surprise because, you know, we did a show about Bon Scott, the AC/DC vocalist. We did songs about Sinatra. We did Dean Martin shows. We've done Emerald Diaries about Irish dancers. We did Just Like the Movies, which is about a young couple meeting and falling in love, and all sorts of stuff. And yet, what sold out was the Kelty Clippie. And you just sort of like, whoa, now, I didn't expect that. And then when you get people saying, I couldn't get a ticket, you say, really? And I thought, well, maybe we should do it again. And it's a fun thing to do. And, you know, we after the Fringe, we went to Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline, sold out the matinee, and then took another night and sold that out. Then we did Lochgelly, then we went back to the Fringe and sold out the whole run. And people were saying, what are you going to do next? So I think it's been a runaway, which is great. But the pressure is on to, right, what can we do next? We're going to have to write new scenarios.
Is there going to be a sequel?
There is. There's one that I've completed and getting typed up called Just the Ticket. And that will open on August the 7th. Now, there's an exclusive for you. The papers don't have that yet, Lisa. So you have got that as an exclusive. And so that will open at Greenside. Tickets won't even be on sale till March or April, but that will be the sequel. And it'll be all new, but familiar characters. And still on a bus.
So because that was such a massive success at the Edinburgh Fringe, and do you think it's something to do with the Kirkcaldy Fife memory? We've got such a rich tradition of love and memories. Yeah,
very true. And I think that the fact that where we set it, you know, we could have set it in the 50s, the 60s, but we thought, no, let's go for the early 70s. Because the demographic it loves it and comes along can relate to it. So we'll talk about things like there's no mobile phones and things. You know, where's that phone box when you're needing one? And this is the way life was, and it'll relate to a lot of people. You know, I mean, in the new show we talk about how tea bags become popular, and of course when you introduce a tea bag to a person back then, they said, "What the earth is that? Well, what is it? Where's the tea strainer?" And you say, "Oh, you don't need a tea strainer." "Oh, to hang with that." And they tear it up, you know. And so it's things like that. And people now, I'm sure nobody ever did that. But if it was completely new to you, it's something that you might think, "Oh, I can't get around this," you know.
And nowadays, if you go into a coffee shop, you can now order specifically tea leaves.
That's right.
So it's gone all the way around again.
Yeah, I know. That's very true. China tea.
In terms of your interviewing experience, which is vast, is there anyone in particular that you've sat in front of that you thought, this is really interesting?
Many. And again, it's you have heroes and you think, you know, they tell you never talk to your heroes and whatever. And sometimes, whether it's, and I'll no name drop, sometimes it's authors and sometimes it's musicians. But there was one just last year, the farewell tour of a band called The Searchers. Now, The Searchers were the number 2 band in Liverpool back in the Mersey era. And they had, you know, 3, 4 number ones. They conquered America and whatever. And I got a chance to interview one of them because we're playing Rothes Halls and chatting away. Again, they said 10 minutes, right, okay. And we were talking for nearly an hour. And I was just saying things like, your influences. I mean, tell me about, and what about your guitar that you use? And it was great. It was like talking to an old chum, and yet I'd never met the guy before. And it's just one of these things. So, there's that, plus authors, the occasional sports person that, you hold and know that these are a world-class person. And it's all been good. And as I say, there's not one particular example, but everybody's good at their own field. And sometimes you home in and you think, oh, this, I love what you do. And, it's a pleasure chatting to you.
Because the stories that you used to tell me when I would come in and have a chat with you, and, I would speak to you about being quite shy about approaching people for interviews. And you'd be always like, just give it a try.
Yeah.
Just give it a try.
Very true.
Just go up and say hello to them and give it a shot.
That happens at the Big Tent Festival, which used to be in Falkland. I was sitting having a wee cola, and I thought, is that Ian Rankin walking past? And I thought, it must be. Nobody else looks like that. So he was almost level with me, and I nodded, and he nodded. So I went up and I says, Ian, what brings you here? And he says, I just want to see the festival. I says, do you mind if we get a wee interview? And he says, no, go ahead. And so instantly, without even knowing what his current book is, suddenly we had an interview situation with one of the best-selling authors on the globe, And I think that spontaneity, and I mean, you'll find it the same. You'll be along at somebody else's party, and then you'll say, here, is that? No, my goodness, I'm going to ask them for an interview. And it happens, and sometimes it's one of the best ones you do.
Because I think sometimes you can overplan.
Yeah, that's true.
And it kind of loses that spontaneity. Because I always say to people, right, we might go left. We'll come back, but we'll always go left. Yeah.
I think I used to do that. I think back in the days of hospital radio, I would over-research due to fear. And, I was interviewing people that came to the Adam Smith Theatre. Now, they got some big acts. I mean, today it's like having, Beyonce and Madonna at Global there, because we were getting people like Bob Monkhouse, Bruce Forsyth, Tommy Cooper, Des O'Connor. These were people that were selling out shows, and they were coming to do a week in Kirkcaldy. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So I would over-research. And, I'd know everything about them so that you're almost finishing their sentence for them. And that's the wrong way. It's good to explore. So these days, as you know, when you first came in here, I had no script. And what are you going to ask me? I don't know yet. I don't know. And a lot of people say, have you got a list of questions? No, I don't. I mean, let's just talk. And I think that comes over more warm and conversational. And that's maybe just my style.
I think that's what radio is all about, isn't it? It is that conversation.
Yeah.
It's
that's
almost like you're listening into a conversation.
Yeah. You're eavesdropping,
In a nice legal way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, John, your work has celebrated the Kingdom of Fife. I'm thinking in terms of Kingdom FM, Kingdom Kids, Kingdom Theatre Company, the King's Theatre, Kirkcaldy. What does Fife mean to you?
It's where I started. I was born here, and that's one thing, actually, when I spoke to some people who have moved away, they said, you could never really move away from Kirkcaldy or Fife because, people like Ian Rankin and Val McDermott, they come back, and regularly. And I think that's one of the aspects of having, you get used to the global thing that is the local town, walking along the high street, the links markets come in, and, all the kind of things that happens. And then there's new initiatives, which is amazing, and theatres popping up and new venues and something like we had a half marathon last year. I don't remember us ever having a half marathon before. And the whole town, we all came out and watched the runners going past. It was phenomenal, and I hope it goes ahead in 2020.
I think That's what's quite amazing about Kirkcaldy is because there is such a wealth of community spirit,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, would